what's up? Check out this blunt and honest review from the Jock and Nerd Podcast. That's us. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the jock.
He's the nerd.
And he's the rug boy.
What's up, guys?
Jock and Nerd. Let's get to this week's movie review. I kind of just picked this movie on a whim. I think I maybe saw one trailer for it. There was absolutely no buzz. But I was like, oh, action comedy, right up our lane, kind of our genre. We've been enjoying a bunch of those. And I said, let's review The Killer's Game, which is what we're going to do. Here's your spoiler alerts.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
Now, I'll let you know at the end of this whether I regret that choice. Because you don't know. Kind of walking in, I think we all just kind of walked in blind to this movie. I did not know a lot. This movie, actually based on a novel from 1997 by Jay Bonansinga, also called The Killer's Game. On Rotten Tomatoes, here we go. 33 reviews. It's sitting at 39%. Yeah. Audience rating, 78%. The movie was made for $30 million. It does not do great. Like I said, no buzz. I don't think anybody even knew this movie's coming out. Opens at number 6 with an opening weekend tally of $2.6 million.
That's high.
Floppy Jock.
Yeah, not 26.
I think that we gave them most of that money.
Yes, a lot of that was the three of us.
Yeah.
And this one also by Lionsgate. That's 0 for 3 for Lionsgate in the past couple of months. Borderlands, The Crow.
Wow.
And now this one.
They're going to go bankrupt.
I'm surprised they're still running a business.
How did they fuck up so bad?
I don't know. Maybe this should have just went to streaming. They, we'll talk about it. This is a kind of movie that you would normally now see on streaming, but it's in the theater. The movie directed by J.J. Perry, who is a former stuntman, has worked on like the John Wick franchise as a stunt coordinator and doing stunts. Also directed Day Shift. Remember that movie? Vampires with Jamie Foxx, Netflix. It's all right.
Yes.
It's all right. Written by Rand Ravitch, James Coyne, and Simon Kinberg, doing some rewrites throughout this movie's went through development hell. They've been trying to make it for a long time. Starring Dave Bautista, old Drax, as Joe Flood, Sophia Boutella as the love interest, Maisie. And then you have a bunch of colorful assassins played by the likes of Pom Klementif, Scott Adkins, Terry Crews from my favorite America's Got Talent, host of AGT. Drew McIntyre, who is a wrestler, WWE wrestler, I believe.
Who knows?
Ben motherfucking Kingsley. Gandhi is in this movie.
Yeah. he was very pacifist.
Yes. Marco Zaror is a guy you may have heard of. He's in this movie. And some other people we'll get to when we get to them. It's a bunch of assassins. The movie's rated R. It runs an hour, 44 minutes. Anthony.
That's me.
What's the plot? What happens? What happens in The Killer's Game?
The Killer's Game is about an assassin in this colorful world of assassins. It's kind of similar to your John Wick. And, there's a whole society and a code and all that stuff. And he meets a girl. And he decides he wants to get out of the game. But then he gets sick. And because he's sick, he does something stupid and calls a bunch of assassins on him. And then he has to fight them off. And that's the plot.
Well, I mean, I think we could just include the whole premise, right? Essentially.
Yeah, so I'll just start by saying the premise itself. He's been an assassin. He's getting all these headaches. Goes to the doctor. The doctor says he has a terminal illness, right? And he's fallen in love with Sophia Boutella, but he doesn't want to break her heart. He wants to just cut it off because it's like he doesn't want to tell her about his life.
Leave her some money, possibly.
He doesn't want to her to watch him suffer.
Yeah, he's got 3 months to live. Yeah.
Right. So he calls a hit on himself with a lady that hates him. And then as the hit is about to take place, he finds out the doctor fucked up.
It's just incompetence.
And he's
fine.
And he's fine. He's going to be fine.
So now he's
that premise right off the bat, I was like, this is kind of clever.
Right? It's contrived, but it's kind of interesting and fun.
It's normally the plot in these is like, hey, an assassin. You have an assassin of all assassins, and now all the other assassins have been called to kill the top assassin, and he has to fight them all.
I mean, solid plot, solid structure to play with.
But instead, they do he called it on himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why. So, with that kind of fun premise, Anthony, how was the execution? How did you feel once the movie was over?
So, my theater had probably 12 people in it.
Oh, that's 15? That's more than I had.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. What did I think of the movie? I ultimately thought the movie was pretty harmless. There's a ton of these movies now where it's this whole assassin culture, stylized action, over the top characters, comic booky. Like they're making a shit ton of these now.
Yeah.
Or just even movies kind of like this. Like even Boy Kills World that we saw has kind of got this kind of same tone.
Absolutely. Yep.
So these movies are now a dime a dozen. I thought it was just all right. I mean, it's not a movie I would say I was blown away by. It was not a movie I would say I think I'll ultimately just forget about it.
Yeah.
You got Batista walking around with a bad haircut.
Yes,
I feel like Sophia Boutella. I feel like she's like the queen now of like these B movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just at times I thought it was kind of funny. The action's really not that great. There are some funny one-liners that I wrote down, but overall, I think Batista's a better actor than this.
Absolutely.
And he just kind of got typecast in this role, and he's like very nonchalant. It's kind of an odd movie. I don't know.
It is. It's a mash of tones. Ruggs, before I ask you, I'm just going to say, let me preface this by I took some edibles going into this movie. And they hit like right in the middle towards the end, and even the edibles couldn't save this movie for me. Shit. I just thought it was okay. I thought it would make it more fun. No, it just made it seem longer. But like you, I was like, it's just okay, and I have a lot of questions. But it's harmless, inoffensive. Some of the action is fun. It wants to be Boy Meets World, but does Boy Kills World, sorry, but does not commit to it. There's flashes of style, but it doesn't know what it wants to be, and
it wants to be a Matthew Vaughn, Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah, but it can't really pull that off. Ruggs, opening thoughts. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't know how to talk about this. First of all, when Anthony says there's tons of these movies, I literally saw this movie.
Yeah,
it was made by Frank Grillo.
What?
Called King of Killers.
Who are you?
Who are you?
You know me.
I know who I am.
Now I'm using that clip at the beginning.
You know me. Who are you? But he's like the head of a assassins guild, and he decides that he wants to test all of his assassins, and so he puts a hit on himself.
Oh my god! This is the same movie.
Yeah, but that movie was fucking terrible.
Oh,
all right.
Okay,
that's not even. So this is better than that. That movie.
All right.
And I don't know how it's possible. This one had Frank Grillo in it, but alas, the movie was poorly funded or not quite there. This one, I felt like the opening 30 minutes was like, oh, this could be a real movie. It feels like a real movie. Like he goes and does this hit, and
they get right into it.
The girl,
yeah,
and then this romance starts to happen, and I'm like, all right, it seems pretty serious. Like he's got this illness, and
it's Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, apparently a real thing.
And he like is in a quandary. He's like, okay, like I'm gonna get out of the business. I'm gonna quit, but now I got this fucking thing, and I don't know what to do. And for me, it was interesting up until this part. As soon as he goes to Palm Clemente,
yeah,
and orders the hit on himself,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden these fucking assassins with like name cards start coming up.
We'll talk about all of them. They're great.
And all of a sudden it starts spinning into this like larger than life Matthew Vaughn Kingsman type shit.
Yeah.
Like then I'm like, and if you're gonna be like Kingsman, you got to really bring it.
You got to commit to it fully.
You got to, and I felt like it was an abrupt shift, and it wasn't even worth the shift. Like they could have still handled it.
Yeah.
Like if they would have still handled it without going off the rails, it probably would have still felt better as a movie. Maybe not as been as fun. I don't know. Maybe they tried to up the fun factor on it, but I don't think it actually ever got there. It just seemed like it was barely a step above what they do on television with more like animated blood.
Oh, the CGI blood is horrible. There is so much animated CGI blood.
By the way, Imran, it's Kreutzfeldt Jakob disease.
Kreitz
Jacob.
Oh, Jakob? Oh, it's a soft J. I see. Jacob.
Kreutzfeldt Jacob.
Why don't they spell it with a Y? These science fucks. Jakob.
But he just had a pinched nerve. That's all it was.
Yeah, no, you're right. You are right, Ruggs. That's you summed it up better than I could in that it kicks into this other gear, but that other gear doesn't ever actually kick in. And they're like, all these assassins are like bottom of the barrel. Like they're just doing the like stereotype, right? Like one guy that's Koreans, it's Scottish guys, and it's a Mexican or a Hispanic guy. Yeah. And that's all. That's their only character trait. Like the Scottish guys just are arguing all the time, and you can't really understand what they're saying, so they need subtitles. The Koreans are dressed like anime characters.
Like a K-pop band is kind of funny.
Yeah, and then the other guy's dancing to Latin music.
And there were some strippers in there.
So you got the party girls who are strippers. You got
I appreciated that.
Botas, who's a flamenco dancer assassin, which is hilarious. He dances and kills you. Terry Crews plays Love Doll, who's kind of like a buddy for Joe, and he's always got, well, not always, but he's got bitches with him. There's boobies in the movie. Scott Adkins is in this movie also. So I did appreciate them using like Scott Adkins, Drew McIntyre, probably doing their stunts and the fighting. Same with Marco Zaror, who played Botas. I believe he was probably doing all the fighting. So like that was nice because they got these guys who are known for this.
And then they just unceremoniously die because of a grenade.
That's the funniest thing. They all get blown up and they all get flashy titles and logos and introductions, and then they very quickly get killed. I thought it was like when we got these logos and these titles, I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. It's kind of has a style. But then it shifts to like something else and forgets about it and they die. And the movie wants to be a rom-com and be like an action movie and all these things. They tried to build this John Wick universe. I think it's hilarious that there's an app for the assassins that's like,
that was a stretch.
Tinder.
Stupid.
You swipe back and forth. But they get into, at least it gets into it right away. It is funny that he meets her like on a hit. Like why he shoots a guy and then goes back to fucking save her.
See, what I would have liked is that when he saves her, instead of just him saving her and like pulling her out and that's it, like he fucks up a bunch of dudes too.
Oh yeah, so
she sees him. So she kind of always in the back of her head knows that this guy's can fucking kill people.
Yeah, no, but they don't. Well, she doesn't know the whole time that he's a killer until towards the end.
Yeah, but then like all of a sudden she's cool with it. Like that's what you have to make that leap. Now all of a sudden she's completely fine with him killing. Yeah. And at the end of the movie she's like, oh, maybe you don't have to kill people.
At the end she's like, college fund. We need money. Maybe you should try. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, what the fuck wrote this? I'm like, okay, like if it's a comedy, like you didn't really do enough work to make me like be okay with it. Like when you have a comedy, like let's say like a Deadpool, like it sets up all the work where you go, I can't take anything seriously, so whatever. But they tried to make the beginning serious, and they do a switcheroo thing, and I think that's it works if you're like if what you get is better than what you got before. But what I got before was actually working. And then,
I agree.
And then all of a sudden they go. That's why I felt like, hey, I was kind of liking this movie for a second, and I don't know what the fuck did you do to it. So that's how I felt about it.
You got to get all the killers coming after him so he can kill them and say really horrible one-liners while he's killing them.
Oh, I wrote down the one-liners.
I'm curious, Anthony, which one of these lines made you laugh? Because I was rolling my eyes so hard.
Oh, did Ali G make you laugh?
Oh, that guy, yeah. Money, the driver.
Oh, yeah.
He was kind of funny.
That was straight up Ali G.
He was doing Ali
wearing
G.
yellow.
I wrote down the 3 lines.
Okay.
That he says, so when he kills the Scottish guys, he goes, mess with the bull.
Oh my God.
Get the horn.
That's cringe line number 1. Yes.
The stripper one I thought was funny. I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave.
That is the second cringe line.
What a cliche. Those are the most cliche lines I've ever heard.
My favorite one, though, is when he kills Botas and he goes, No Mas Botas.
No Mas Botas. No.
Okay, that one's better than the other
that one is better.
No Mas Botas
Yeah.
is straight out of the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's an Arnold line if I ever heard
That's
one.
like the Steven Seagal line.
I think the problem, though, with Batista and even Sofia Boutella is, one, they don't have any chemistry together. Two,
yes.
they're both super dry in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's very dry and she's not very, like, I don't think she's a very good actress.
No, she's not.
And she's in a lot of different things, and I don't think she's ever, like, stood out as a good actress in anything. So they have, like, no chemistry whatsoever. And then, you know, as mentioned, the action isn't, like, the best. It's not super funny. You have this stylized hitman world, but fuck, we've seen that. We've seen that in John Wick, and it's done a million times better in John Wick.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all these like little things that add up to just kind of a middle of the road assassin movie. The other line I wrote down though that I did enjoy was when he's getting the chiropractic from his wife.
Oh yeah.
And she twists his neck, and like for a second everything stops, and you just hear Ben Kingsley in the background go, "Oh my God, you paralyzed me."
Ben Kingsley, I also thought was kind of phoning it in. Like, he's great. I mean, this man is amazing, but he has the most cringy line at the end when he shows up and shoots Antoinette in the head.
Don't hate the player,
Don't
hate the game.
player, hate the game. Really? What the fuck? That is the worst line. These played out one-liners are so bad.
I did write that one down. I forgot to say that. Don't hate the player, hate the game. They were just taking like normal things that people say and making them the one-liners.
You know what made me laugh the most was Terry Crews. Because when he shows up and fucking Ali G is his driver and they're it's hilarious. And he's just like, shut the fuck up, please. Just shut the fuck up. And then at one point she punches him out and he picks her up and then he goes, get in the car and stop fucking bleeding all over the place. Like, their interaction was funny. He was funny. He was just having a blast being Terry Crews. I don't even think he was acting. He was just fucking hanging out. I did like the Mackenzie brothers. I thought were funny. Scott Adkins, Drew McIntyre, all the subtitling, especially at the end when they show up and he's like, "What's that smell? Did you shit yourself?" The guy's like, "Maybe." And
then he smells it later.
Yeah, and then Joe Flood is like, "What's that smell?" But just
Joe Flood's also not a great name.
Joe Flood, so silly.
Yeah, it's. I didn't have any I had no expectation in this movie. I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't even know that this movie was coming out.
Yeah, no, clearly nobody knew or still knows.
I think if you have John Wick, you got Beekeeper, and you got
But Boy Kills World is like a much better version of this that we recently saw.
Oh yeah, I think so. I agree.
That movie is hell of fun thinking about it compared to this. That's what they wanted. They just
the girl with the helmet.
Yeah, the fucking
helmet, them killing all the people on the ice set.
Dude, brass knuckles with the gun strapped onto it. Come on, that's fucking amazing. Yeah,
you have to really go if you're gonna do a movie like this. You have to really go
for it.
Yeah.
So there are moments where they go for it. For example, first when the Koreans come at him and he kills them all. I love the part where he uppercuts that girl and her teeth fly in the air, and then he catches them all the way down to throw them in those blades. But then I didn't understand. Is he super strong? Because he's throwing people through walls and shit like they're weigh nothing.
Well, I mean, he is Batista.
He's a big guy. And he's such a giant tatted dude that like Sofia Boutella seems so tiny when he's carrying her. He's a big guy. Have you, by the way, speaking of that, have you seen what he looks like recently? Have you been following?
He's like slimmed down a lot.
He's lost 75 pounds.
Like him and Mother's Milk are on the same diet.
Oh, yeah.
He lost 75. I saw an interview, actually. He lost 75 pounds, but he's still 6'4" and 240 pounds.
He's down to 240. So he said he bulked up for that Knock at the Cabin Door movie for M. Night. He was 315. And he even says in these interviews that he felt uncomfortable, like he overdid it. He was a little too big. So he's just essentially trying to slim down to something normal. But he said he feels healthier, which is great. But yeah, 240, he's still a big guy. But man, I
don't think he's just not he's not good enough to be the lead in a movie.
I'm surprised. I go back and forth on Batista because sometimes he's really good and sometimes he's just like okay. And in this, he's like just okay. Like I don't know if he was into it, if he's done with these roles and they're tiring. But he's probably one of the better wrestler turned actors out there.
I feel like, if you're talking about a wrestler, like him and Rock are probably
Cena, John Cena.
Those are the three they talk about.
Yeah, those are the they're all kind of on the same level, I think, of acting.
They're all Well, I think The Rock can play like
He's more charismatic.
Yeah, I think Cena and Batista both. I think Cena has more range as like a comedy actor.
His comedic shit is great. He's fantastic.
Batista is also funny, but I think Batista is best as like the second or third guy.
Yeah, maybe not the lead.
Not the lead. Because he just, I don't know. I felt like he was just very dry throughout the entire movie.
Well, here's a little bit of production and some what ifs of this movie.
What ifs are with this movie?
Yes, like different directors and stars. Yeah, but here's the thing. This book was written in 97, instantly optioned for a movie. They were trying to make it since the late 90s, and it's been quietly shoved around to multiple studios. Here's the directors that were offered this movie. John Woo.
That's like a match made in heaven. This is a John Woo.
This would have been a great John Woo movie.
Script, yeah.
Wolfgang Peterson.
I don't know about that.
Alex Proyas. That could have been.
Oh my God.
Nah, I don't know about that either.
Rennie Harlan.
No.
This one you're gonna love. Fucking Pitoff. Remember Pitoff?
I guess John Woo and Wolfgang Peterson would be the best. Wolfgang would make into a spy movie, like a very European spy movie.
I could absolutely see John Woo. Remember fucking Catwoman? Pitoff.
I like the rice Pitoff.
John Woo. This would be a cool John Woo movie. All right, actors. Wesley Snipes considered at one point for Joe Flood.
Probably in like the late 90s.
He was like the first one. Yeah. This was then Michael Keaton. Also around late 90s, early 2000s. And then this one makes sense. Jason Statham. You can absolutely see Jason Statham.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Jason Statham did his movie for this year. Yes, it was called Beekeeper.
And it's a lot better than this. And he got his. And originally.
Not more ridiculous, but so much more enjoyable.
Before Terry Crews, Ice Cube was cast as Lovedoll and then replaced Terry Crews.
You want to know why The Beekeeper was so good?
Yeah.
It's because the character of the Beekeeper was just such a fucking throwback to just the badass of all badasses that didn't give a fuck.
Right.
And Batista's not really giving that as much in this. He's badass, but like he's not like Jason Statham badass.
Well, Jason Statham's also so committed to this like the B lines.
Oh yeah, it just works.
He's saying them so seriously, and they're such stupid lines. But he's so committed to like the hive and the bee puns and all this shit. And it just like, I'm like, I've never heard a action hero use bee puns throughout the movie. Whereas Batista's lines, we just went over some of his one-liners. It's just common things that were said in society.
Yeah, they were the worst.
He's just using, like, the good one was no mas botas, which is funny.
No mas. I mean, they needed way better lines.
That's the most cliched one-liners.
That's the thing. Here's the thing. They're going for the assassin throwback, big 80s guy vibe. Yeah. But the thing is the movie's not, it's not Edgar Wright enough, right? Or Matthew Vaughn or, anything like that. It's not leaning that heavy. And the action isn't good enough where you can be like, oh, it's less, it's like, it's not like The Raid or like these action movies that we've been seeing where you're like, oh, they can hang its head on the action.
They were trying.
And it doesn't have enough. It doesn't have boobs. I mean, it does, but the boobs aren't great.
Right.
And it doesn't have enough good one-liners. So it's like all the things that you need. Like if you could just nail a couple of those things, it would have been better, but they don't nail any of that.
It fails on execution. I think the thing they do the best is there's a lot of brutal kills and
but it's all things. But the brutal kills are not brutal when it's CGI blood.
Well, so at one point I was so high watching this movie. At one point I was like, maybe they meant this to look all cartoony blood. Maybe this is part of the decision because
they might have been.
I thought it was because that's the whole thing. This movie doesn't go. It doesn't pick a lane.
But if you have to wonder that it didn't do it right.
They did it. It was like you can't get some fucking squibs. How hard is that? It's just fucking fake blood in a packet with a little explode. Get some squibs.
Well, they spent $30 million. What are they doing?
It makes a difference. It's squibs. I mean, even John Woo used squibs with like little money he had in Hong Kong.
All of the you could take all of John Woo's movie that he made in Hong Kong and it still would have cost $30 million.
And roll them all together. His fucking squib explosions are amazing, and you buy it. And this just was like, why are you doing this? But a lot of grenades exploding, a lot of some dudes on fire. That's probably the action scenes are probably the strongest thing in this movie, and they're not even that great. The ending is completely ridiculous.
I thought the ending was super weak.
because they get away, Maisie and Flood, and he confesses he's a killer, and then she's got shot. She tells him she's pregnant. They end up at a church. He wants to get married. He's got to confess, and the priest is like, "Oh, what the fuck? All right, whatever." And they get married while fighting off more assassins. And what?
So if you're gonna put this with like direct to streaming release action movies, it's not even on par with like something like the Extraction movies.
It's mid-tier for Netflix. This fucking movie.
Yeah, it felt like a Netflix movie.
It felt like it probably should have just been on.
It felt like that movie. To me, it reminded me of that movie that we reviewed with Jamie Foxx, where he was fighting the vampires.
That's Day Shift. This is the same director.
What about Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds? That was a big action movie that they did over there.
Had great. I think the Gray Man was even better. I
like the Gray Man more than this. Yeah,
I think the Charlize Theron one is better.
I like this one better than the Charlize Theron one.
What the fuck was that called? They're making
The Old Guard.
The Old Guard.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize that the Day Shift and the Killer's Game were the same.
We should do a tier list of all like streaming action
mid-tier street like shitty action movies. I mean, there's a lot of
there's a lot of them.
Because then you do go down the Frank Grillo route. Like there's that level, which is even below.
Boss Level is, I would put Boss Level above
Level
this
is a legit streaming action movie. But some of these other ones are even below that. Their budgets are smaller and they're even more obscure.
Did you like this better than The Crow?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
I liked it better than Crow.
I think it's a little more entertaining.
I had more fun with it than The Crow. And the thing is, The Crow offended me on a level of like personally. Like I was like, I love The Crow and you're fucking, what are you doing?
You're just shitting all over it.
Yeah, I want to like this movie and you make me not like it. This movie, I never even had any intentions of watching. And so I was like, I was amused to watch it.
No, you're right.
Did you like this better than Argyle?
That is also a good question.
I like this a little better than Argyle.
I think it's tied, I guess.
Argyle.
If you want to talk about mid-action movies, we've seen a bunch.
At least, though, I will give Argyle, Matthew Vaughn, he commits to his style. And so, again, I think this movie wanted to be some of that, and it fails. So I feel like Argyle is still the better movie.
Question for Imran. Do you like this better than the original Kingsman?
100%. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
I'm joking.
No, I take Kingsman.
Kingsman is that's a much more confident movie. It knows what it wants to be.
You got Samuel L. Jackson with a lisp in there. Come on.
Is that the second? That's the second one.
That's the first one.
Oh, it was the first one? What was
and Sophia Boutella.
The other movie? I mean, I thought Boutella was maybe a little better than in the Rebel Moon movies here.
Oh my God, yeah. There's another. Is it better than the Rebel Moon?
Yes. I think so.
I haven't seen the 2 3-hour versions.
Yes, by the way, both of the director's cuts of that movie, they're like 3 or 4 hours each are out, and I have no desire to even watch it. I know I was going to.
I feel like I have to be in a mood to punish myself.
I don't have 8 hours to fucking spend on another Rebel Moon outing. Fuck off.
I think I will say after watching this movie, I think I'm done with Sophia Boutella.
She's not good, bro. I
don't think she's good.
She should be a side character and even less. She's not. She's just not good. I think, was she a model? Where did she come from? It's kind of like, who played Enchantress? It's kind of like that same deal. What's her name in the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
She was also a model turned actress.
Is Sophia Boutella a model?
I don't know where she came from. She can kind of do the action, but I don't know.
I mean, she's got like an exotic look, right?
Yeah.
She's like Algerian and French, but
I also did not buy their chemistry at all.
No.
It was not good. So, all right. Well, let's fucking wrap this up. Give me a final thoughts and a number, Anthony.
That's me.
Yes.
Final thoughts. It's ultimately a very mid movie.
Yeah.
In terms of, we've seen so many of these types of movies now. The whole assassin thing it's almost kind of played out now in the action genre.
Yeah.
And then you throw in the zany comedy comic book, the title cards, and everyone has a gimmick and everyone is a stereotype, and that's been played out too. So then you throw both of those things together, and if you don't have something that really sticks out, it's just going to be very boring and average. And that's what this movie is. I will say I was entertained at times. At times I did laugh. The beginning of the story with the when they really play up the Kreutzfeld Jock, I was like, oh wow, this is very, very like I'm feeling things.
Yeah.
I feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
This sucks. And then, like Ruggs mentioned, I think he hit it on the head. When it takes that turn, at first the turn, I go, oh, this is kind of funny. He called the hit on himself. But then you go to all the different assassins and the title cards start popping up, and it's like, oh, they're not really going as hard on this as they can. Yeah. This isn't. It doesn't have the balls.
It wasn't worth the shift.
No. Yeah, exactly. So overall, very mid movie, as the kids would say. I would say my rating on this is a 5.5.
All right, Ruggs.
Wow. I got the same exact number there. I was like 5.5 for me. It's not like, look, I'll watch an action movie any time of the day.
Yeah.
Like if it's an action movie that's, okay. So I'm cool with watching this movie. I think if anybody who really wants to watch an action movie and itching for that, like you can watch this and it's not going to surprise you. It's not going to impress you, but it'll be an action movie. And that's all I can say about it. It's an action movie that's got meh action in it. And it's put together in a presentation that's watchable. It's maybe a little long than it should be.
How was the runtime? It felt longer than an hour, but did it feel long or?
Yeah, it felt like it should be like an hour 30 at most.
It felt longer than it was.
They could probably tightened it up a little bit, but it's inoffensive. It's just like a meh movie. That's all.
5.5. I thought of a couple of other things I did like when he's texting her when he gets the phone where he's like the sup girl. He tries to text that. That was kind of funny. The montage with the dating and the killing, I thought that was clever. There were some clever edits. But aside,
that wasn't bad.
It was.
That's when the movie was still good.
Yeah, and they're having fun, and there's a little bit of style the way the scenes are swiping over and kind of blending into each other. Like I thought. Yeah, that was clever.
none of the highlights are from when the hits are going on.
No, he's like at work, and then at night he's like hanging out with her. Right. I did enjoy the European locations. It starts in Hungary. They go all over the place. Nice scenery, but outside of some of the fun action scenes, I'm with you guys. It's generic. It's predictable.
Yeah, it was like just locked into 3 locations, and it got really tedious.
It's mid tier. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I will also give it a 5.5. I think that is absolutely
we all
suitable score.
Agree on the score for the first time.
They should have done more with his size because they do these like fight scenes where he's like dodging punches and punching back and like kind of an assassin, and it should have just been like, all right, we have Batista. He's just a tank.
Right.
He's just going to crush dudes.
Yeah, he's just going to like hold his hand up or just slam him into the wall.
Was it just me or you could tell Batista's aging there and how he moves?
He looked real slow. There were a lot of like overhead shots where it looked like it was like from the 80s where you could totally tell it was another guy moving around.
Hide that.
It was like, because it was like above him, way smaller guy, shitty haircut. And you're going, oh, yeah. This is like back when they just didn't give a fuck in the 80s, and it would be like clearly another stuntman.
And I mean,
they were just like, oh, he's white. It's close enough.
I love those. I love when you can see the Arnold stuntman clearly, and they give no fucks. They're like, oh no, that's not him. That's not fucking Eddie Furlong, but this is a cool shot. And
the Beverly Hills Cop, if you go back and watch some of those fight scenes, it's like there's clearly not Eddie, and it's just like another like a way darker black guy.
The guy that gets thrown out of the window, I think you see him in that scene in the beginning. But you have Drax and fucking Mantis here, and they just have no chemistry. They're so much better as Drax as Mantis.
Yeah, they're both better. I didn't like. Yeah, that's another thing. I didn't like Pom Klementif at all.
She was kind of wasted. I
wouldn't say wasted. Well, I just didn't like her.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really do much. She was just. I mean, he did kill.
They're kind of doing the whole.
Kill her father.
Wait, whatever. They're doing the whole. They kind of have the Running Man vibe, where you have a big dude, and then you have all these other like zany characters that he has to kill. But Sub-Zero became Plane Zero. Like those are great lines. This is all you've got is no mas botas. That's how you can hang yourself and hang your head on. You need more.
No, you need more. You had one.
I hope you have enough room for my fist because we're going to rip out your stomach or something. Like I'm going to rip it out rip out your goddamn spine. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he says.
Or Or Action Jack's "How do you like your ribs?" as he shoots a fucking rocket launcher.
Yeah, you like your ribs.
That's great.
It's a great. That's one of the best all timers. I think.
I knew you'd like that. You need better lines. You can't just.
Yeah,
You can't
you gotta be
use the.
clever.
You can't use the. You can't go mess with the bull, get the horn.
Oh,
That's
you can't do hate.
Yeah, that's like something you'd hear like someo's dad say.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, the whole don't hate the player, hate the game. Really? What do we do?
when some of these you watch this movie and you go, wow, like some of these actors like Ben Kingsley, I go, wow, is he really scrounging
He's
for work?
fucking
What's going
slumming
on?
it. He's
Why is he in this
he
movie?
is slumming it in this one.
Long way away from Gandhi.
Like, I feel like he was phoning it in a little. He just was like, I need a paycheck. I don't know what's going on with Ben Kingsley.
I also didn't. I know you liked him. I didn't really care that like. When you cast Terry Crews as a main assassin, I just go, I can't take this seriously at all.
No, you can buy it, but I was like, he's on AGT and now he's just killing people. It doesn't work. He's all wholesome.
The Old Spice guy that shakes his pecs. Like I can't. I can't
President Camacho. It's
He's
like
President Camacho. You also know, here's another clue why that nobody's watched this movie on the Wikipedia. Nobody's bothered to put a plot summary.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that.
It's not
When
there.
the plot's not there, that there's no one watching.
Nobody saw it.